The Cardinals Daily Report is brought to you by the Arizona Lottery. You can't win if you don't play.
This weekend's game between the Cardinals and the Lions matches up two of the better defenses in the league, but I don't think there's any question that, Kyle, one of the biggest things that everybody wants to watch is the matchup between Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson and cornerback Patrick Peterson. It's not like Patrick Peterson will be on Calvin Johnson all the time, but when they do match up, I think it's two of the younger guys in the league and two players that everybody wants to see how they go against each other.
Yeah, it's always fun, and they've already matched up a couple times in their career. And Calvin had a really good game last year. I think 6 catches for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. The one that stands out is the long touchdown where it looked like Carlos Dansby had an interception, and Patrick kind of stops, and then Johnson somehow gets the ball and runs forever with it. So you take that away, and Patrick did a pretty good job on him. You're never going to stop a guy like Megatron, but if he can keep him at bay, and you're going to have Cromartie on him a little bit, they're going to do some zone stuff, so it won't be totally Patrick, but if he can just corral Megatron a little bit, it'll greatly help the defense.
Well, like you said, last year's play was one of the ones I remember Carlos Dansby still couldn't believe a few days later that ball had gone through his hands. But as Todd Bowles was saying, that doesn't matter. I mean, if a guy scores a touchdown, it doesn't matter if you were almost about to get an interception or you almost covered him or you almost knocked it down. Once the 6 points goes on the board, the 6 points are on the board. And the Cardinals can't have that happen this week. And the Lions, quite frankly, have more than just Calvin Johnson, and that's part of the Cardinals' issue. Now they got Golden Tate, who's having a breakout season with Detroit. They've got some other weapons. It's not just Calvin Johnson that Matthew Stafford is throwing to.
It'll be very interesting because the Cardinals' cornerbacks have been so good, and Cromartie's been phenomenal all season, except for the Denver game, but everybody had a bad game in that one. So depending on how they match it up, whether he's on tape most of it or if they switch off, those two good wide receivers against those two cornerbacks is going to be a real treat, and just to see who wins that battle will play a big role in who wins the game.
You know, at one point, Todd Bowles was talking about whether Antonio Cromartie would be maybe a little bit better of a matchup for Calvin Johnson. He's a little taller than Patrick Peterson, and Bowles just kind of laughed and said, look, Calvin Johnson is 6'5", and he weighs 230, and he can run a 4.3. There is nobody who's going to match up well. At some point, he's going to overmatch whoever is covering him.
You just want to hold him a little bit. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get his yards. You just don't want him to get 150, 200 yards. If you can hold him to like 70 or 80, that's a great job.
Well, I know that Patrick Peterson the other day is very much relishing something like this. He told everybody to get their popcorn ready, to which Todd Bowles said, yeah, well, Patrick's an entertainer. Hopefully he's an entertainer and a good football player this weekend. I know that's going to be a big part of how this Lions-Cardinals game ends up. So for Kyle Odegard, I'm Darren Urban. This has been another edition of Cards Daily on azcardinals.com.